It's Man City versus West Ham in the Premier League. West Ham travelling to face the champions. Of course, a massively out of form Manchester City side at the moment. But despite the fact they're playing the way they are and getting the results that they are, I still can't go into this with much optimism. I'm going to be honest. I'm still struggling. You may feel different. You might go, no, do you know what? I fancy us. But at the moment, I am struggling to believe that. Actually, in fact, I would say that for Manchester City side of things, this is probably their perfect game that they need to get things back on track, especially the fact they're coming off a win anyway. But look, before we talk about West Ham, as we do, let's talk a little bit about Manchester City. Really bizarre season for them. But then when you think about it, really, when you stand back and look at their success over recent seasons, I mean, well, for quite a period of time now, it was kind of inevitable that at some point they would have a drop. I mean, maybe not so much to this extent, but it's so difficult to keep that momentum going, and staying at the top. It is so difficult. I mean, you only got to look at the teams over the past years of, Man United's, Liverpool's and things like that that is very hard to keep that number one spot. And the fact they've done it, 4 seasons on the spin, and it's probably not bad for the game, really, and bad for the Premier League that Man City are having a bit of a drop, to be honest, and to give others a bit of an opportunity just to freshen things up a little bit. But there's no denying that their drop in form is pretty shocking. They look like a team totally void of confidence at the moment. As I say, I think facing West Ham is probably the perfect fixture for them now at home. A team like West Ham that are just so bad offensively and so bad defensively. I just feel like they're going to create so many chances. It's probably a perfect game and for people like Haaland as well, who obviously want to get back in the goals and sort of get themselves back into the rhythm of dominating and being so ruthless in front of goal. So, yeah, that's how I would feel. If I was a Man City fan or if I was a Man City, player, whatever, I'll be relishing this game, to be honest. I feel like it's the perfect fixture for them. But it's hard to put your finger on exactly what's going on at Man City. I feel like these charges are starting to have an effect now on the club as a whole. I feel like the fan base, the management, the players and everybody involved at Man City, I feel like this 115 charges thing is starting to grind them down a little bit, which is understandable because we don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to be relegated? Are they going to have to pay astronomical fines? Are they going to be okay? Is it going to be deemed that they're not, they're found innocent? It's very, very difficult to say, isn't it? From what I can see from an outsider looking in of how things have been going with their other cases, etc., going on, they seem to be pretty astute, actually, Man City, with their legal side of things, and they seem to be winning a lot of their arguments. So it could well be that the punishment aren't going to be as severe as some have suggested, but that being said, we don't know. And it's much like us with Paqueta, this kind of lingering doubt all the time hanging over them. Obviously, the scale of what they're facing is much, much larger on the football club. So I just feel like that's probably having an effect. And also, you look at Man City's squad, don't get me wrong, littered with absolute quality. But I don't know. I look at some of it now and feel like maybe it needs a bit of a freshen up. They're relying on players that I find a little bit too injury prone these days. Kevin De Bruyne, of course, always feels like he's always a few games away from another injury. Rodri, I mean, don't get me wrong, a stunning player. Won the Ballon d'Or not too long ago, didn't he? So remarkable talent, but again, it always feels like he's carrying injuries and he's out for long periods, which I think is really affecting them. And then you've got the form of Phil Foden, you've got the form of Jack Grealish, you've got all these factors, and I feel like there's just a lot of it going on at the moment, and it is strange to see. It's very strange to see them struggling as they are. I think this is probably Pep Guardiola's biggest challenge, really, as a coach so far, because he's not really, from what I can see in his history, every club he's been at, he's always been at a club that's been successful and are used to winning. It's part of their DNA, and he's brought that into Man City, of course, and that's always been the case since he's been there. So I feel like this is probably the first time in his career as a manager, especially, where he's got a team that are really struggling with confidence. And it's not easy. We've been there a lot. We're going through it now, When confidence levels are low and belief isn't there, I'll tell you what, you can really struggle. I mean, you get that in every walk of life, don't you? When you're not confident in yourself and your ability, you really struggle to get that, execution of what you're trying to do right. Because you just doubt yourself all the time. I can just see that in Man City at the moment. They look like they're really doubting themselves, and it is strange to see. But that being said, I don't think it's going to be long until they're back on track. I get the feeling that they are going to turn a corner, and I don't know whether I wouldn't rule them out of the title race yet. I mean, it's going to be a bloody tall order. Don't get me wrong, for them now to go and win the title. I don't think they'll do it, but I get the feeling they're not out of it. Do you know what I mean? I get the feeling that they're going to click into gear and they're going to try and make up ground very quickly, and will probably put the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, etc., under a fair bit of pressure, but I don't know. They're so far behind now. It's going to take a hell of a lot, of course, and they're going to need to rely on other teams slipping up as well. So I think probably the title's out of their reach a little bit this season. But that's not to say they can't go and do it. But I would not be surprised if in a couple of months' time we're talking about Man City again in the title race. They'll be third or whatever or second and starting to try and catch up. I would not be surprised to see it. But big change for Pep Guardiola. And it's just, still a fantastic football club as far as I'm concerned. Have brought unbelievable quality, haven't they, over the last few years to the Premier League. And they've just been unbelievable to watch at times. But a strange time for this club. And I think that they'll want these charges dealt with one way or another now, because it's just like we are, as I say, with Paqueta. It's just, I want to get to the conclusion now. I'm tired of it being just rumbling on and on and on. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it? I think we're expecting a result from this charges stuff for Man City in the next couple of months. So it'd be very interesting to see how that all kind of pans out. And I've got to say as well, before I go on to West Ham, that for me, I think these charges are actually very important for the rest of football and for the likes of West Ham, because if we want to be competing with the big clubs in this league, the ones that generate so much revenue, so much more than we can, then we need to be able to operate in a way that we can get good investment from elsewhere abroad, and whether it be even connected with the ownership of your club. I think it's important, to be honest. I think if they get hammered for this and get relegated or fined, I think it paints a murky picture actually for football in the future. You just feel like, well, it's going to put owners off coming into clubs, billionaires, and I'm going to take their club on because they're going to think, well, we ain't going to be able to compete anyway. It's so difficult. So I think for the sake of football, it's important how this pans out. But so I'll certainly be keeping a close eye on it. Let's go on to West Ham. I mean, you know my feelings on the manager on this season. I'm feeling incredibly deflated. I desperately want the club to make a change on Lopetegui. As far as I'm concerned, he's been here long enough now, and we're seeing zero evidence of this team improving under him. In fact, I feel like we're getting worse. I'm very, very unimpressed, and I'm unimpressed with the football club, of how we're handling things. I don't like the way we're dragging this out with Graham Potter when he's waiting to come in. It just seems like an obvious move. Just get it done, get the guy in, and we can just draw a line under this Lopetegui. Thinks, look, we gave it a go. It hasn't worked, and be decisive. I don't know what we continually need to happen. It's almost like they're waiting for an absolute disaster until they act. And I'm finding it very frustrating. As you well know, I've talked about it enough on this channel, and I'm going to try to avoid it a little bit here. But, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to avoid because it is the main talking point at the moment at West Ham. Aside from the other great news that we've lost our best player in Jared Bowen to a fractured foot, which is going to keep him out for the next couple of months, which is a huge blow and desperately not what we need at this stage. That is a real knock to our season already, or a season that's already quite a slog, let's be honest. So, really, really disappointing. Obviously, also, we've got returning players from suspension. We've got Carlos Soler back in the squad. We've got Thomas Souček now available for this game. And also, Lucas Fabianski, I believe, will be available. I don't know the exact protocols and all of this head injury stuff, but I think he'll be available as far as I understand it. I think it's a week or whatever it is. So I'm not quite sure on the exact nature how it all works, but as far as I understand it, I think he might be available for this one, but I haven't had that completely confirmed. I hope he is, because as far as I'm concerned, he's our best goalkeeper. It's a position that I think needs addressing. I've talked about it, but I think that's something they're going to look at in the summer. But I certainly prefer Fabianski over Areola. So this is my team, and I'm going to give my prediction. I'd like to know your thoughts on this one. If available, Fabianski in goal for me. Defensively, I'm going to start Vladimir Coufal at right back, with Todibo and Kilman as my centre-back pairing, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka at left-back. The reason being, I've just had enough of Emerson. I'm going to be honest, this season. I'm sick of his attitude on this pitch. He just seems so disinterested. He's been one of them players that just looks so unhappy. We've kind of had it spoken about before that Emerson's been a bit unhappy, and he's been linked, hasn't he, with moves. Then he's come out and said, no, I'm really happy at West Ham. I can't quite work it out. I look at Emerson, and I think that he is just one of those players that sort of epitomises this season. A decent player. It was proven to be a good signing for West Ham overall. But he looks so deflated. He looks so uninterested. He doesn't look like he's putting the effort in anymore. Clearly an unhappy player. And I think he's one of them players that I just think would also really benefit from a change and getting rid of Lopetegui, because he's clearly not enjoying his time at the moment. Like many aren't either. But that being said, I can't condone this kind of walking about, looking very disinterested attitude from him. At the end of the day, you played for West Ham, you put on that shirt, regardless who's in charge, regardless if you don't agree with the manager and things aren't good, you still work bloody hard. And the fact that I'm not really seeing that from him, I just don't think he can be rewarded with a start. But I wouldn't, the fact it's Lopetegui in charge, it wouldn't surprise me he starts, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's my back four, hence why I brought in Soufal. Midfield, I'm going to put in Edson Alvarez as a defensive midfielder. I feel like in this game, he's going to have to operate purely as a defensive midfielder. I don't want him to keep wandering off. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to see anything stupid and creative from Lopetegui, because he keeps trying to do these silly things that don't work anyway. At the end of the day, you're playing still Man City at the Etihad, right? Just shut up shop. Just make it hard for them. Make them have to work for this win. And try and play counter-attack football. That's the best way. Don't try and be elaborate and try and do something really stupid and say, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have Soufal bombing forward. You can go back into right back Alvarez. Don't start all that. Just keep Alvarez as a defensive midfielder. Keep your defence solid, and that's it, because you're going to need it. It's still a very, very good side we're playing here. So my Ben Alvarez in the middle, as I say, defensive midfield with Thomas Souček operating as he does, working out defensively mostly, I feel, in this game, but being able to also to drift forward and sort of ghost in the box as he does at times, and causing their defence a few issues. I'm going to Carlos Soler playing ahead of them, being that sort of creative output. I don't want Paqueta anywhere near the squad, to be honest with you. I don't really want him involved with West Ham for a while at the moment. I'm just tired of the guy, really. Just been absolute crap, hasn't he, for such a long time now, and it's almost like a ghost of the player that we had once upon a time. And again, much like we're talking about Man City, like these charges hanging over them and stressed out. You can see it in Paqueta. He looks drained. Just take him out of the equation now. Just put him with the reserves or something and say, until this is resolved, don't worry about it, because it's just not good enough. We're not seeing a player that looks up for it. I'm just tired of witnessing this player that seems to have this terrible attitude, looks totally devoid of the belief and the confidence he used to have on the pitch. And I've just had enough of it. At the end of the day, we've got to start getting some results. We've got to start playing some football. And we need players that are committed. Hence why I've dropped Emerson and Paqueta for this. My front three are, I'm going to put Mohamed Kudus out on the right, obviously replacing Jared Bowen. I'm going to put Somerville on the left, and I'm going to put Guilherme in there as well in the middle as a sort of false nine. The reason being, right, I feel like this game is just counter-attack football. That's the way you're going to beat Man City. We've seen it already from recent weeks, how where they struggle. They struggle on the counter. They're going to have to try and win this game. Of course, it's a massive game for them. They're going to know this is a great opportunity as well, not only to win, but win comfortably and sort of send the message out, Man City are back. So they're going to be pushing, right? Which could suit West Ham, because we could say, well, I'll tell you what, defensively set up, really astute, be really focused. I mean, bearing in mind, right, I know this is not going to happen, but I'm thinking if I was in charge, I'd be making sure my defence is switched on, solid, not doing anything silly, and just try and play counter-attack football. And I think with the pace of Somerville, Kudus and Guilherme, I think you can cause them all sorts of problems if you catch them on the counter. So also, and then having Soler being able to release them as well. So that's my thinking in this game. But that being said, I am not confident at all. I really am not. And I know it's, disheartening to feel like that, but this is just where I am at this season. I can't sit here and pretend that I'm happy and, looking forward to this one. Now, people will watch me over the years on this channel, will know I always try and lean on optimism. Even when we've got these sort of games, I go, you never know with West Ham. If we could just do this, if we could just do that. There's even still a little part of me that as I'm talking about by myself. But the fact then, when I remind myself who's in charge, I'm just like, no, do you know what? I've got no hope. So unfortunately, I do think we're going to still lose this game. And I think we'll lose it quite heavily. I'm going to say 4-1 to Man City. I've just got this feeling we're going to nick a goal somewhere, but I'm not confident even in that. I mean, I'm so deflated. This could well be the last game for Lopetegui. And I know people are just going to be screaming at this bloody video going, Mark, you say that every week. You say it all the time that this is going to be his last game. But I just get the feeling that a proper hammering might be the end. I hope it is, because I want him gone. And I don't mean that, I'm hoping West Ham get hammered. I never want West Ham to get hammered. But I'm getting to that stage now. I just want him out. I want this guy gone. I want Graham Potter in. And I know, again, I'm not trying to say he's the Lord and Saviour, right? And he's the only hope we've got. But the fact he's available and wants to come to the club on a short-term deal, I just want to see the club get it done, because I'm so sure that he will do a better job. So that's where I'm at. I think West Ham are going to lose. I'm sorry I can't be more optimistic, but let me know what you think. Let me know what you think, because I'll be interested to see. And obviously, it's a good conversation. I will respond. So, yeah, look, let's see how we get on. Come on, your irons.